From the lock. From the lockdown San Francisco Bay Area, live every Tuesday night, it's ESG Live with Chuck and Raymir. Tonight, special guests Scott and Brad from Uscooters, battery expert from Core Shell Technology, Jonathan Tan, and the premiere of the Uscooters Booster GT 2020. And now, the man whose cat didn't let him sleep past 5:30 a.m., Chuck Temple. There we go. There we go. All right, we're good. We're live. Okay. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining in. We always have a little, a little snafu because it wouldn't be ESG Live without like one or two little technical issues. Hopefully, the internet does not crap out on us today like it has done so many times. Okay, so I think sound should be good now. Just let me know. Yeah, boom. Okay, we're back. And you guys are like 12 seconds delayed, so by the time I see live chat. Anyway, thank you for tuning in every single week. It's awesome. Tonight is actually a jam-packed night. This is week 2 of our just like marathon of scooter reviews. So this week is all about the Booster GT, the Uscooters Booster GT. We like to call it the 2020 because it's the one with the drum brake. So you're probably, it looks like other people are doing, this scooter is like super highly anticipated. People have been talking about it for a long time. The older GT did not have the drum brake or the kickstand. The new one does. And so we've finished testing it. We have all that done. And we have Scott and Brad from Uscooters to chat about the scooter and to take your questions. We also, of course, have Photo Friday. We have the deal of the week, which is on this one. Uscooters gave us a massive coupon code, which I'm going to tell you about in a second. We also have Jonathan Tan from Core Shell Technologies. A lot of people have been asking battery-related questions, and I am not a battery expert. And so basically, I went out and found a battery expert. So he's going to be on the show shortly. Of course, we've got news, we got videos, we got a Facebook giveaway at the end of the show. And then at the end of this, show right now today, we'll premiere the official review of the Uscooters Booster GT. That will premiere immediately following the show. And we'll get you a link for that right now. It is actually probably uploading as we speak. The mission of the electric scooter guide is to help you find the perfect scooter. We do the show every Tuesday at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And I just want to say one quick thing. Shout out to my grandma because she's having her 90th birthday today. I'm gonna try to call in, but she might already be asleep by the time the show's over. It's been really busy, but sorry, Grandma, I haven't called you. But happy 90th birthday to Grandma Rella, G-Rella, or as I like to call her, Grella. All right, please join the community. If you're on Facebook right now, please hit the subscribe, hit the like button. If you're watching this, you better hit the like button. Follow us on Instagram. Also join our Facebook group. That is where everything is going on. We have giveaways on, I think those are posted on Thursdays, something like that, Thursday or Monday. We're gonna have the winner of that at the end of the show. And this week it's Shred Lights is giving away their helmet pack, which is awesome. It's like $60-$70 value. We also do Photo Friday on Fridays. We do exclusive interviews with people from the industry. And thank you guys for saying happy birthday to my grandma. And special shout out to David Vosk for just being amazing and managing the Facebook group. And he just does so much for that group and for us. So you're awesome. But also David Vosk has a special message for the Facebook group. He's saying you guys are all awesome. So I know a lot of you guys probably in the Facebook group. So it's nice to give a bunch of shout outs. The Facebook group has been on fire lately. We just passed 4,000 members, which is like incredible. It's definitely one of, I mean, it's a well-run group. It really is. David is doing a fantastic job. So anyway, check that out. Links to all those things are in the video description. And you could probably see them on the screen from time to time while we're playing this. Okay, Photo Friday. Okay, Photo Friday. Honorable mention this week. So Photo Friday had 180 different comments from people that are showing off their scooters. Is so fun to see. So we have an honorable mention going out to Paul Carlo in Las Piñas, Manila, the Philippines, for the 010X and 11X. And this person, we always let people, have a word if we're going to show their scooters. So he says, David Vosk, wow, I'm speechless. Rem Doom Lao and I are honored. More reviews and guides for us in the scooting community. So thank you, Paul. The runner-up this week is Martin. Oh my gosh, I'm going to butcher this name. Zayasek. We'll see how. Zayasek with the eMove Cruiser. The photo is at Fort Stevens in Northwest DC. The fort, so this is a little history of the fort. The fort saw action in the Civil War in July of 1864. The most interesting thing about it is that President Lincoln was shot at during that battle, and it's the only time that's happened for a sitting president. So pretty cool scooter and very cool, historical fact. The winner this week is Thomas Bennett. I think he's won once or twice before. This is his Dualtron Thunder. It was taken in Washington, D.C. Thomas Bennett is sending out the message. He says, thanks for coming out. God bless, or GD bless, and have a great night. So thank you, Thomas. It's, he's got some of the best photos like all the time, for sure. Okay, next scooter's coming up for us. I think next week we are going to do another Inokim scooter. It's going to be the Light 2. So the Light 2, this is good. This is a really interesting scooter. We've only done one Inokim before. The Inokims are interesting scooters because spec-wise, they don't match up. But when you ride them, they're like a lot of people's favorite scooters to actually ride. And so, it's going to be interesting review, performance and stuff like that. For the price, you're not going to like it. But when it comes to scooters that you want to ride, you might like it. So anyway, it's very interesting. Anyway, and hello to everybody. I'm seeing y'all in the live chat. It's great to see everybody. Very, very cool. We'll have time for question and answer. I didn't mention that, but we will have a Q&A with both guests. And then we'll have a Q&A, just like general questions towards the end of the show, time permitting. I mean, we're going to try not to go too long tonight, maybe an hour and a half at the most, because, I got to get to pickleball. Okay. So deal of the week. All right. So we got a deal of the week. Deal of the week this week is, of course, none other than the Uscooters Booster GT. It's the one with the drum brake, as you can see. Right here, here's the drum. I don't know if you guys can see it yet, but I'm gonna spin it. I always beg these guys, everybody, for the best discount that we can get. So they're offering a coupon code that is $60 off The normal price is $10.89, and so $60 off brings it down to $10.29, I believe. I think that's right. So the links are in the video description. The coupon code's in the video description. I don't know how long this will last, and the scooter is in stock, I believe, which is probably the only scooter that is in stock these days. So that's the deal of the week. Okay. Let's get our first guest going. So our first guest is Brad and Scott of Uscooters. They're coming to us from different locations. We had them on a bit ago, and we want to ask them a few questions. So let's see if we can get them online. But we have a lot to say about the Uscooters. It's Uscooters Booster Sport. We need to get their videos going. Not getting any audio yet either. Okay, we're working on getting them on. In the meantime, does anybody have any questions about the U-Scooter GT? Hit at Electric Scooter Guide, and I can start answering those questions, and we'll also queue them up so that Brad and Scott can handle those questions. I'm looking to see. What we can also do is if it's not working, we can go to our second guest maybe a little bit earlier. Okay. So Seal Burr is asking the first question, and make sure you guys hit at Electric Scooter Guide because like it's kind of hard for me to like scroll through the comments. How portable is the Booster GT? It fits under my back seats. No need to trunk test. It all fits in the locker. So the deal with the Booster GT is that it is really small, but it's actually longer than the previous version. So the previous version, I believe, was 39 inches. I have the stats here somewhere. The new version is actually a longer deck. It's 45 inches long, but I believe it maintains the same width of 6 inches, and it's about 1 foot high. So it is a longer scooter than the previous, E2W. stream again. Sorry. This is. Yeah, I can hear you guys. Give me a second here. We're about to go live. Okay.
Did you see him on the screen?
Yeah, I can see him on the screen. You guys can hear me, so we're about to go live again.
I think we're live.
Okay.
Live on the YouTube thing?
Yeah, we're good. We're in. Just switch the thing.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, guys. All right, audience. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Anyway. So we got Brad and Scott back on Skype. We got everything working. And so Scott and Brad, the founder and director of operations at Uscooters. Are we ready to go, Ramir? Ramir? All right. You guys are live. How are you guys doing? Yes. I'm good, although now I've just like started. We've been sweating the last 5 minutes restarting the computer. We just lost all signal, and I don't know why. I mean, maybe it's because I built the computer that we have here. I don't know what it is. We'll have to get a Mac or something. But anyway, go ahead.
No.
How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah, let's talk about the Uscooters Booster GT or E2W GT, however you want to refer to it. What is, what do you guys think? Have you guys spent a lot of time with the drum brake and with the upgrades? And I kind of want to get your take on what you like about the new scooter, about the new 2020, I guess, edition of the GT.
Go ahead, Brad.
So many things to like about the new edition. The drum brake is definitely quite an upgrade. A lot more control over the rear brake if you're going to use it. The ride, as always, is fantastic. The extra length on the deck is great. There are little tweaks that were made from the original GT all over it, so it's just a tighter. It's by far the peak of everything that's come out of the factory. It's benefited from going on 7 years of history that's gone into it, and improvements and continuous improvement. We love it. We love all the power. We love the range, the speed, acceleration.
Great hill climbing abilities too.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Actually, that's a one thing that we noticed. I mean, it does, we in our review, we're going to detail all the different ways that this is a best in class for any ultra portable out there. But the hill climb is where I think it really shines. It is a better acceleration, but we found that it got, I think it was like 25% better hill climbing ability than the previous used scooter model, which is really nice.
That upgrade to the 48 volt battery, allows that much more power to get to the motor, and through the controller, and it shows. It's a beast on the hills now.
Yeah, it's great, and it's got more range than any other used scooter, and I think that's part of that is the battery size increase, right? It went to, what did it go to? 500 and something watt hours, I believe, right?
Exactly. 48 times 10.5, so yeah, a little bit over 500.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, as far as ultra portables, right? That's gotta be, I believe that to be the biggest as far as the battery watt hours.
Oh, absolutely.
which is pretty awesome. And then I didn't actually ever ride the older GT, the one without the drum brake and the kickstand. But what were the other, kind of upgrades from the other GT? Because the other GT was the same form factor, right?
Basically, very similar. Just some more fine tuning on the motor. Some more fine tuning on the controller with more experience with the extra power and controlling the extra power and being able to focus it properly, so we can get that extra torque to pull up the hill even better than on the previous GT. That's really it. And after a lot of experimentation and testing and everything at the factory, We tried all different kinds of formats with brakes, and we found that the drum brake for what we're doing is just the best. It's just a fantastic rear brake. It's not locking up. It's controllable, and it, one more one more feature to make the GT something that's a fit for that many more people that feel more comfortable having that rear brake and that extra control. Uh, it's the best. I mean, it really for a scooter we feel it's a lot better than a disc brake.
Yeah, curious as to kind of the decision that went into drum versus disc. I don't know if you were a part of that or not, but if so, do you kind of have any kind of insight into the reasons for the drum versus disc?
Well, we found that with the drum, just a little bit or a lot better personal control using your hand between being able to just use it as a brake to slow it down and lock up. We found that the drum is a great deal less tacky,
Hmm.
um, if that's a good way to put it. It doesn't lock up. It gives you the ability
Uh,
to use it to just gradually slow it down if you want to, as opposed to just more of an emergency brake that's going to lock up in a really touchy manner.
I see. So there's more kind of like linear, like more I don't know how you say it, like space between kind of like 0 and 100% on the brake. So how
Exactly,
much power that you're giving it, you can have. There's more feel to that,
a hundred
which
percent.
which is good. And what we also noticed something similar to that, and I think it's especially helpful because it is solid tires, and so you don't want it to lock up all the way because then you'll skid, right? And you can lock it up all the way, and we do when we test. But having that a little bit more control over just like how hard you're squeezing, right, so that you can slow down at the right deceleration rate, I guess that you're looking
Absolutely,
for.
absolutely. And
It's funny. Go ahead.
oh no, no, I did want to mention one thing. The tires are puncture proof, but the tires are actually cored inside. So they
Oh.
do provide, yeah, the tires are a patented design that have cores. So if you were
Hmm.
actually cut one of the tires in half and look inside of it, you would see cores that are through the tire that do help a little bit on shock absorption.
So it's like an air pocket or like a honeycomb structure
Yeah,
or
so
what?
so when they're injection molded, it's like an air pocket that's actually, put into them when they're molded.
Got it. Okay.
Patented
And
technique and a patented design.
got it. Yeah. So, I mean, I think one of the things that stands out, like when you're riding scooters without suspension, is that on rough roads or average roads, you feel a lot of bumps. And this scooter has that kind of like dual suspension. So it does help quite a bit. I mean, obviously you're still going to feel stuff, but it doesn't give you the brain massage that scooters without suspension can give you on rough terrain.
Absolutely, absolutely. That was as I mentioned and as we discussed and all spoke about the last time we were together. That was really critical to Serene when he invented this. That there wasn't going to be any brain massage, no brain.
Good.
Wanted to
No,
be
that's
able to ride from start to finish as far as you had to go and get off and be able to have a conversation without your head twitching around like that.
Yeah, yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, actually, there's a lot of upgrades because we've reviewed the Booster Sport and the Booster V. I have sometimes when I'm doing office hours or I'm talking to people one on one, I'll have women ask me, "Hey, what's the best scooter for me?" Because I need something that's like pretty light but also safe. And so, when we say safe, we think, okay, well, how can you stop quickly? And so now that this has a drum brake, it's it's like we tested the drum brake with the electronics. So in other words, we did the testing without the rear fender brake, and we've done that actually on, we haven't advertised it, but we've actually tested that on all of your scooters already as well. And it's one of the things we're going to highlight in the review coming up. But what we got is that when you have one electronic brake, if you're not using the foot from 15 miles an hour, you're about 40 feet of stopping distance. With a drum brake and electronic, so all just, hand controls, we're getting 15 feet of stopping distance.
That's
So
fantastic.
way more than, twice as fast for stopping, which I think for, is, I mean, that's I think the benefit that people will see when they use this. When I ride it, I still probably use the electronic brakes more often, but if I'm going around a blind corner, or into an intersection where, or I'm around cars, right? Then I'm putting my hand over the drum brake for sure, and that's just makes me feel good, I guess.
Absolutely, and I think that what you just stated is really the rationale that was behind it. There's just a certain additional level of confidence when you're riding it, and you've got that handbrake there if you want to use it.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a lot of people feel more comfortable, and it's amazingly effective. As you
Yeah.
said, around 15 feet is a fantastic stopping distance.
It also, it's also one of the few scooters that has three types of brakes, right? So it has electronic, it has the foot, and it has a drum. And so, if something happens to one or even two, you still have obviously a third option, which should hopefully make, people, I mean, it's ultra safe. And then also they, I noticed that there is the stem, the stem lock is actually quite different in that you don't have to do what we call the power dance move, the power stomp to get, to fold and unfold, what you have to do on most scooters. But now it's like you can almost do it. Well, you can actually do it with one finger, and there's a safety lever, which is another, which is I think a great upgrade to it, because then, even if you forget to really push it in and lock it fully, there's a lever that can go over it, so it can't, the stem cannot fold on you anymore, which is
Absolutely.
fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
100%.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, we've had a lot of fun riding it. I've had it at home for quite some time, and that's good. If it's okay with you guys, I'd like to open up, open up to questions from the audience, and see if they have any questions for you guys about the GT. So we're on delay, so it'll take like 30 seconds for any questions to come in. But are you guys okay to do a few minutes of question and answer?
For sure.
Awesome. Okay.
Thank
Ray Mir, if you want to, I'll probably see some, but if you paste it into the dealio. Yeah, and I also want to say while we're see if anybody has questions, but thank you for giving the viewers. I know, like, the GT has been basically the scooter we've been kind of waiting to review for, gosh, 7 months since the first edition came out. And so now we finally got our hands on it, but also, you guys have provided a nice coupon code for everybody. So, it's $60. It's electric-scooter.guide GT for the GT, just one, no spaces in between. And I believe that brings the price down below any price out there, which is kind of awesome.
We're happy to be able to do it, and we thank you so much for giving us this time and this opportunity to present it and work with you and hear your fantastic comments.
Yeah.
We all learn a lot from you.
Awesome.
You know everything that's going on out there.
Yeah, thank you. So first question, Sealbur, what do you do if the rubber cover came off the charging area?
If the rubber cover comes off the charging area, we can send a replacement part for that.
Okay.
Yep.
That's good. Yeah, I think on your website you have a ton of replacement parts and stuff like that, and that's typically on a lot of scooters. That's like the first thing that comes off, right? And then sometimes they never go back on. So that's good. Also, I think there was a question earlier. Oh, sorry. There's another question. They just didn't do the @. So guys, if you have a question, hit @Electric Scooter Guide, and then it's easier for me to see. But next question is Mercedes Devereaux. Oh no, sorry, nope, wrong one. Man, you got to put the at because like I get lost in these comments. Jim Fitzgerald, can you swap out batteries with this U-Scooter GT?
When you say swap out batteries, if you open the battery cover and you have a second battery cover and you want to change the battery, it's probably about an 8 minute, 6 minute to 8 minute process.
Hmm.
But if you have a second battery and you charge it up and put it aside, sure, you could do it.
So you're saying, are you talking about like actually taking a battery like with you or something and literally opening up the cover and swapping the battery
Yeah,
to
I mean,
get another?
it's definitely not something that we recommend that you do on the move or anything like that. But I mean,
It
uh,
can be done.
I've heard there are some customers that if they're concerned and they want to get an incredibly long range, that they've brought a second battery with them. But I don't think it's very common.
No.
Okay. Huh.
That's
What?
part of why this has the 10.5 amp, and 48 volt, because you're getting a whole lot of power there and you're getting a fantastic range on this.
Got it. Um, Interesting. I wonder what the battery weighs for this unit. Like maybe I
It's
don't know,
it's
7 pounds, 8 pounds.
no, it's a little bit less than that. It's a little bit less than 4 pounds.
Oh, okay. Well then, yeah. I mean, it's not a swappable battery scooter, but you're saying it is possible to do it, but it's not a recommend. It's not recommended for most
No.
people. But our the people, our viewers are they're a lot of enthusiasts and a lot of people that like to mess with scooters and mod them and all that kind of stuff. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay. Danny Leish, man, says, any concerns about traction with solid or non-pneumatic tires?
Well, there is a little bit of a difference. This is a narrow tire so that we're able to get the long range because we've got a little bit less contact on the road and a little bit less friction than a pneumatic tire. That dramatically helps with the range. Um, I think it's really a matter of an individual's experience and how comfortable they are um, driving and riding. I mean, it really depends a lot on what you get accustomed to.
And we do
Yeah.
have quite a few customers that do change to a pneumatic tire, knowing that they may lose a little range, but they're riding on rougher roads in Manhattan, for instance, they choose to do that. So
Oh,
you can do that on the rear tire.
do you guys offer those tires like as a part that you can purchase, or is it like they're kind of doing these hacks themselves later on?
Yeah, it's third party they're getting it from. We don't sell them.
Okay. Okay. So I can add my 2 cents to the kind of like traction and non-traction. So, pneumatic tires, they have their pluses and minuses. Solid tires, of course, are lower maintenance, but don't form fit as much the roads. Under practical circumstances in good weather, so when it's not slick and raining out, I find that solid tires perform just as well as pneumatic tires, up to a certain point. From and that point is all the riding that I do. I don't take corners fast enough to ever slip on a solid tire. When you're in the rain, that's when you just got to be a little more careful on turns and things like that if you're going really fast.
Absolutely.
But I've had, I've had I think what are probably similar tires on the original booster from 2017, and when unless it's raining out, I can take turns, I can carve, I can do anything, and the scooter is actually really nimble because those tires are so narrow. And because the scooter is so kind of narrow, right? You can actually kind of weave yourself in and out of things a little bit differently than other scooters. In fact, like I'll take it into the grocery store if there's not a lot of people and everything, but I can take it in and I'll put the cart, and I've seen a lot of people do this, put the cart right on the platform and you just wheel it around, and actually it's actually more narrow to do that than having a shopping basket. I mean, a push cart from the grocery store. Um, let's see. Okay, this
It's
is,
definitely very nimble. There's no
yes.
question about that.
Robert Fontanosa just says, at Electric, he says, great scooter. Thanks, Brad and Scott. he may have this. Robert has a lot of scooters. I can't remember which ones he has.
I recognize his name.
Steve, this is, I'm not sure if you guys want to answer this or not, but Steve asks, why not have an option for an external battery and have a port on the scooter where you could plug one in to get range?
So there's a great answer for that. So we've experimented and we've tested with that, and we're still working on a few ways of coming up with exactly that. The issue is that eventually we found after long-term tests, no matter what type of contact we used, because of the amount of power that's in these batteries, it ends up damaging the contacts, and you have to end up replacing them. And we figured we would do, the best we could to put the biggest battery possible in, so that you wouldn't need that extra range for another battery.
Yeah, and we're gonna show this in the end of the when we premiere it, but it actually does have the longest range out of any ultra portable that we've ever tested. And we just tested the Glion Dolly, and it literally we've been meaning to test the Glion Dolly just because they're both ultra portable, and it actually beat the Glion Dolly, which was anyway. We'll see that in the review later. Couple more questions, and then we probably got to move on to our next guest. Is there any chance? So Ant-Man asks, is there any chance we'll see a dual motor version of this scooter?
I can't say that there isn't a chance. So yes, there's always a possibility. I've been on a few that we've tested, and what we're trying to do, once we do that, we have to increase the battery capacity even more so that we have range, and then we start losing a little bit of what we strive for, which is that ultra portability. Starts getting really heavy when you put another motor on there, and then you make it a little thicker to get a bigger battery in as well. And we have to change the controller as well, so it adds a lot of weight, but anything's possible.
Okay, very cool. Another question. Sealber asks, can you really close the scooter with one finger?
Absolutely. This is a big advance as far as the locking mechanism goes. And I think, Chuck, you'll be able to testify to that you can really close it with one finger now.
Yeah, it is. So we've done it. It's in the video that we can do it. It's a different mechanism than we've seen before. And I can't think of any scooters that you can do, that have a similar mechanism that you can do that with, but also lock in place. So it's good. I mean, it's good, and it doesn't collapse on you, and it locks in with an audible click, which is also really helpful just to know that you do have it locked in, which is great. Let me just, So we got to get to our next guest. Maybe I can answer these questions at the end of the show. So Ramir, the last three questions, we'll answer them, towards the end, but I told we have the battery guy that I told him he'd be on 10-15 minutes ago. You guys, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been, it's really nice to talk to you guys. Thank you so much again for the coupon code for all of our viewers to get what is the best deal on, in our opinion, the best ultra portable out there. So check the video description for that link to the Uscooters Booster GT 2020. Anyway, thanks so much for staying up. I know it's late where you guys are, but it's always nice to have you on.
No, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity. We're really happy.
Absolutely. Okay. All right, guys, take care. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay. So I know there was more questions. We're going to get those. Make sure we hang up. So we're going to get more questions, and we'll get to those at the end of the show. But I wanted to bring in our next guest soon. I know hopefully we don't have the same issues we had last time. We're going to have to figure this whole thing out. So it's nice to talk to them It's really nice to talk to them because they kind of know a lot. Also, Brad was one of the guys that he mentioned this last time, but he was one of the guys that actually is friends with, I forget the founder's name, but did help develop the original scooter. And we'll go into it a little bit more, but yeah, but the sorry, it's good. Yeah, we'll get him. But it's absolutely like an amazing ultra portable that a lot of people have been waiting for. So we're just check out our review later. It's good. I mean, there's a couple things, like there's no perfect scooter, as we say, but for an ultra portable, this is kind of as close as it gets, actually. All right, so we're getting the next guest ready. And again, if you have questions, Ramir's gonna kind of get them all ready. So the next guest, I'm just gonna introduce him while Ramir's getting him ready. His name is Jonathan Tan. He's the CEO of Core Shell Check. So we have Jonathan Tan here from Core Shell Tech. He's here to talk about the mystical world of battery technology. Core Shell Tech is a local East Bay startup pioneering a new battery nano painting technology that has a lot of great functions, including how to improve the functionality and lifespan of batteries. And we're excited to have him with us. I met him, I forget where I met him, but I met him a bit ago. And I know that I think it's better to let me have him tell you kind of what he's working on, but it's very interesting stuff in the battery world. So welcome, Jonathan. Dang it. No, I can't hear him.
Can you talk real fast?
Am I
Jonathan.
on?
Oh, there we are. Okay, we got him. All right, Jonathan, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me on, Chuck.
Hey, thanks for coming on. So, tell me, I mean, it's been a while since we talked. I know I think we had coffee or something long time ago before the whole COVID thing over there in Berkeley. And I know you guys are probably doing a lot more since we last talked, but maybe you could just give a quick rundown of what Core Shell is working on.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think we met at the was it like the TechCrunch Mobility Conference or
That's
something
right.
like? Yeah, a long
Yeah,
time
TechCrunch
ago.
Mobility, San Jose.
Yeah, that's right. Back when we had conferences, we could meet in person and do all
Yeah,
that sort of stuff.
I
So
know.
yeah, so Core Shell Technologies, fundamentally, we're an advanced battery materials company. We're working on a nano layer film. So the way I like to describe it is that if you took a look inside your battery, which I don't recommend anyone actually try to do, unless you're a chemist or material scientist nerd like we are, but if you looked inside, basically when you're using the battery, what you would notice is that a rust-like formation is gradually forming inside the battery. So that's what's causing the degradation issue.
Oh,
So even before electric scooters, people on cell phones and laptops, you realize that as you use it, the capacity of your battery just fades away, right? So that's a major problem in almost all rechargeable batteries. Essentially, what we're doing is painting the inside of your battery so that degradation issue never happens. And the benefits of that are that we can have a higher capacity, longer life battery at the same or even potentially lower price than what you guys have today in your batteries. So that's a major benefit that we're hoping to introduce into the battery technology world.
awesome. So it's painting the battery so that you don't get the same degradation because it's not rusting.
Yeah, essentially, those are high level analogies. Obviously, it's a nano layer formation. It's probably I could explain it in all sorts of different ways that are for your science nerds out there. It's an anode or cathode artificial SEI coating. But for people, for the layman terms, I like to picture if you never painted the outside of your car, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so the
Mm-hmm.
rust on the outside of the car would really eat away at the metal. And that metal in a lithium ion battery is the lithium itself, right? So when you're losing that lithium, you're basically
Mm-hmm.
losing your capacity. So we're the first to come around and say, why are you letting your batteries rust from the inside out? Why don't you paint them and lose that degradation issue?
Got it. Okay. Very cool. And so, we're going to get to questions real soon because we asked our Facebook group to come up with all the questions that they have for a battery expert. So we're gonna go to. I don't know if you've seen that or not already.
Yeah, I've
I
seen a
don't.
few questions. So
Okay.
yeah, hopefully I can help provide some insight into that.
Okay. Awesome. But before we get started, I just want to kind of ask, like, how would this affect the electric scooter industry? How would your technology, if used in an electric scooter, how would that affect scooters? And I guess how close are you to having a workable product?
Yeah, those are great questions. First, we're a few years out from having a workable product. We're advanced materials, so we got to get it into the batteries, test them, really prove out the capacity and effectiveness at scale. So that's what we're doing. We actually recently got a fundraising round to be able to start to scale our product. So that's pretty exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But in terms of the battery for electric scooters, we feel like that's a great early beachhead market because we see a lot of needs in the batteries for scooters. So, for example, we could produce a battery that has 30 to 50% more range, that's safer to operate, and lasts longer than the current battery that you have today without introducing a bigger battery or a higher price point for the electric scooter. The other thing that we could do is perhaps create a battery that has a super long lifetime. So if you want something that's super durable, maybe it doesn't have to have the same amount of range, but it could last several years longer than your current battery today does today.
Awesome. I mean, I'm excited about those advances, not just for scooters, but for everything.
Yeah. And that's why we're excited about electric mobility as a whole. We see scooters as that first point, but then obviously electric transportation is something that we're excited about as an industry.
Awesome. Okay, so so we polled our Facebook group about like what questions you have, and I want to let the live chatters know that if if you have questions, throw them into the live chat. Make sure to hit the @electric scooter guide so that it turns orange on our screen. Raymir or Richie will get those into the live show doc so that I can, so we can queue them up. But let's go through because we have a bunch of questions from the Facebook group. So, I mean, where do I start? Let's see here. I mean, I think that one question. Can you talk about the differentiation? I mean, this is one more of my questions. Can you explain the differentiation in the generic Chinese battery market? And do you have any tips for like demystifying that? So it's like we hear about Sync Power and other brands, but and so people think of them as like, hey, there's generic Chinese, and then they hear like LG and they hear Samsung. Can you talk about some of the differences between those? And then, I mean, I'll have some more specific questions, but yeah, educate me because I'm very not, I don't know that much about batteries myself too.
Yeah, no, actually, I wouldn't mind zooming out a little bit from that question, and I'll get to the details of those
Sure.
kind of specific, brand names and the differences there. But one of the major, I think, misconceptions that's out there about lithium-ion batteries is that it's actually not a single type of battery. So they call it lithium-ion batteries. It's actually a family of batteries with a variety of different chemistries. So it can have everything from iron in it to cobalt, manganese, all different types of materials. And the different chemistries that go in there create vastly different performance levels for your batteries. So even within, if you got an LG Chem battery, various different LG Chem batteries are actually very different from each other. So going back to your question, essentially the Chinese battery manufacturers, they have traditionally been probably a tier below those brand name battery technologies that you guys have been talking about, the LG Chems, the Samsungs, the Panasonic. For lack of a better term, those are your Rolls Royce, your Ferrari of battery companies that you have out there. Now, what's happening is that because of the electric vehicle market, a lot of bigger Chinese brand batteries are stepping up their game, right? So I don't know if you've heard, but Tesla, for example, just announced that they're going to build a 30 gigawatt factory in China with a Chinese battery manufacturer. So that's 30 times the size of the US facility that they have here.
Wow.
So that battery supposedly is even better than the LG Chem and Samsung. The bad news, I would say, for the scooter industry is that as a whole, the scooter batteries that you guys are getting are not the top tier batteries that they're producing, even for the Samsung and LG Chem. So you guys are not getting the A plus batteries.
What?
You guys are getting. Sorry, I'm sorry to say this. I'm sorry to disappoint your fans.
Who do I need to talk to?
Well, this is a growing industry. If the industry goes bigger, that's when they'll get the better batteries. But for right now, because it's not as big as the electric vehicle market, it's probably getting the B plus type batteries out there.
Interesting.
But there is still probably a quality control differentiation. That's probably where I would indicate there's various different Chinese manufacturers. The bigger ones are going to be better than some of the smaller ones. So you can kind of look at the brand names and kind of the market size that they have. Those guys are going to start to approach the LG Chems and Samsungs in the next couple of years. The smaller ones probably will still have quality control and kind of like lifetime issues.
Okay. Thank you. I mean, this is fantastic. So what are the best? So here's a number. I think this is the number one question from the Facebook. What are the best practices to keep your battery in good health, right? So electric scooter owners, we want our batteries to give us the same range that we got, when we first bought it, as 6 months later, a year later, 100, 200 charges, temperature. I mean, what can we do to make sure that we're not the invisible hand of battery degradation is coming for our scooters? How can we make sure that we're getting the same range or keeping the life?
Yeah. So right off the bat, there's nothing that you can do to prevent degradation completely. So you're always going to lose a little bit over the life of your battery. But I think the point is taken, how can you maximize that performance over the life of your battery? So there's probably two things that I would really focus on. And again, these are general guidances, taking into account that batteries, they're like, as you mentioned, scooters. There's no perfect scooter. There's no perfect battery out there, right? They all have different attributes. But there's a few things that batteries generally just don't like doing. First is being at 100% charge. So that's kind of something that you wouldn't realize, but the same goes for your cell phone, goes for your battery and your scooter. Don't leave it charging overnight or leave it at 100% charge. I would actually recommend leaving it between 30 to 80% charge. And a battery traditionally would probably actually like to be around 50%. So if you can leave it, if you're not going to use your scooter, for example, for many months, leave it around 50% charge. Don't leave it at 100% charge. That 100% charge actually speeds up the degradation.
Now, what if you're using your scooter on a daily basis, like myself, right? I typically plug it in. I'm not going to remember to take it off the charger. How quickly would I be lowering the capacity of my battery by doing that on a daily basis if I'm riding it also, in the morning?
That's a great question. If you're riding it and you're constantly riding it, I would say charge it right before you ride it. Because you think about it, the amount of time it spends at full charge is going to be lower, right? So charge it up right before you ride it. Then you can have the maximum capacity for your batteries. You have the maximum range that you need for that ride, but you don't leave it at that high charge rate. Because you think about it, then it's only at that high charge rate for,
Got it. So
before you start riding.
So it's keeping it at 100 is the thing that you want to avoid. It's keeping it at 100. But if you have it to 100, it's like there's a length of time that keeping it at 100 deteriorates the battery. And I think, could you speak to that, or could you put any numbers on that, such as like, oh, if you leave it on there for, it takes 1,000 hours to degrade 1%, or, is there anything that you could tell me? Because then I could be like, well, okay, I'll start charging it like when I go to bed, and then, it'll maybe charge, I don't know, which.
Yeah, no, it's a hard question to answer specifically. So what I would say is that I wouldn't leave it just on the charger, right? So that's what I would recommend.
Okay.
If you leave it at 100% for like an hour or two, it's probably fine, right? So I wouldn't worry about, I have to pull it right off right at 100. If you do have, if you're more worried about it, you can do things like only charge it to 80%, take it off, and then charge it that 20%, that last 20% only when you're about to ride. So give that extra boost right about before you ride. But that's not something most people probably have the time or effort to do. So I would say that the only thing, the main recommendation I have is just don't leave it on the charger, sitting on the charger for, days on end, or, overnight if possible, things like that. Just one other thing, the other factor that is really critically important, that compounds this kind of high charge capacity or charging to the upper capacity, is the temperature, right? So batteries
Yes.
are very sensitive to temperature. And I think a lot of people were asking about this. So even if you do leave it at 100% charge, make sure that it's stored in a cool condition. So one of the worst things that influences battery degradation is being at a high temperature. So if you compound those two, start, charging it up to 100% and then leaving it in a very hot condition, that's when you will have the worst performance for your battery lifetime.
What is hot?
What is hot? So I would say anything above 70 to 80 degrees will start to be hot, right? So you never want to get above 90 degrees, and you have really accelerated degradation above 90 degrees. I would recommend keeping it at 70 or below if you want to have an optimal battery performance.
So I'm writing these notes down because like this is great. I mean, I guess I could rewatch this video. This is at any level, right? So at any charge level, so 100% or 50% or 0%, no matter what, you want to store it as much as possible below 70 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, store it in a cool condition. Batteries are actually okay if they're a little bit cooler than room temperature. They start to degrade if they're higher than room temperature. So that's the kind of.
What about a low? Is there so people that store their scooter for the winter time? Is there a certain temperature that you should not get below to keep your battery in the best health?
Yeah, so the low temperature really depends on the manufacturer of the battery, and so that one, it really kind of depends. There are some batteries that are a little bit better at low temperature. There's some that are a little bit worse. I would say if you keep it from that like 50 to 70 degree range, you're probably in a good spot. That's probably in an okay range for you to store your batteries. Once you start to get into the really low conditions, what I would recommend is it's probably okay to store for a little bit, a few hours or something at a lower than 50 degrees. But when you're about to use your battery, maybe warm it up a little bit before you go out and take a ride.
So basically is like storing your scooter inside as long as, your house doesn't get up too hot, right? So if like you're in a house, typically houses, probably going to be between 60 and 75 degrees, depending on things, right? So at that temperature, then temperature is not really affecting or decreasing your battery longevity, anymore, right? It's not, if you're outside of those ranges, then expect that your battery is going to degrade faster. Is that
That's right?
Accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the tips that I'm giving your audience today, hopefully you don't start to panic if all of a sudden one day it gets up to like 80 or 90 degrees. These are kind of long range tips, right? So these are kind of like habits that if you store it at a good temperature, you don't usually charge it up or leave it charging for really long periods of time. Over time, that would help your battery performance.
What does that mean over time? This is the part that I'm still. I mean, I know it's probably dependent on battery and probably a ton of other factors, but it's like if I store it at 100% for a week, is there a certain percentage that you could say, say I'm at 70 degrees, so I'm fine on temperature, but I keep my scooter at 100% for like 1 week. Am I going to notice a difference at that point, or does it take 3-4 weeks to be able to notice a difference? Or maybe it's more than is there any numbers that we can put to this?
Yeah, so that's the challenging part about it, is that you probably won't notice it. And that's what I mean, is that a single instance of charging it up really high or leaving it at a very hot temperature, you're not going to notice that. You're not going to notice that all of a sudden your battery's dying rapidly. So I wouldn't worry about that. It's more just the long-term habit. So you mentioned, if you did it for like a week, you probably would notice it. If you did it for a few weeks, you might start to notice a little bit. If you did it for like a few months, that's really when you're starting to degrade the battery. And I'll give you kind of the ranges of how much this can affect your battery performance.
That's what I want. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you, let's say that you're someone that leaves it charging all the time, it's always at the full charge. It's always stored at a very hot temperature. So you're leaving it out in the garage and you live in like Florida or something like that. You may have, over time, your battery lasts, 300 cycles or so, which is, if you're doing that every day, it's maybe going to last for about a year or maybe a year and a half. If you take care of that exact same battery and you do the things that we've talked about, that could last you up to 800 to 1,000 cycles. So that could potentially last you up to 3 or 4 years. So there's a difference of if you're habitually taking care of your batteries versus if you're really just kind of letting it go.
So are you saying that it's not about lessening? Okay, so maybe this brings us to another point. When you say last, 200 to 300 cycles versus, I think you said 800 to 1,000 cycles. What do you mean by last? Does that mean that you're now only getting 50% of the, of the capacity? Is that how you define last?
Yeah, I would say that even before 50%. So that would be something like 70 to 80% of your original capacity, or maybe 60 to 70% of your original capacity. So that just means that if your scooter was rated to go, for example, 30 miles, it would actually die after like 15 miles or so, and you'd have to recharge it. So you just start to lose the range on your scooter.
Okay, so it's not that the battery's just going to all of a sudden conk out after 200 or 300 charges. It's that you're going to notice that you're getting 50 to 60% of the original range.
Exactly. So the way that I would put that analogy is that take your cell phone for example. When you first got your cell phone, you might be able to leave it uncharged for a day and a half. As you start to go over the years of your battery, you start to notice, oh, I'm having to charge my cell phone every 5 hours, every 4 hours, every 3 hours. That's kind of like the amount of time you leave your cell phone uncharged is kind of like the range of your scooter, right? How long can I ride it? How many miles can I ride it for? And before I start to notice that, oh, my battery's going to die and I got to get back home to charge it again.
I'm just thinking a lot of these scooters actually have voltage meters if you hit the right sequence of buttons or different, displays, just like on a car, right? You hit trip a few times and you get the different odometers, right? The same thing with scooters, but a lot of them will have these voltage meters. Could people theoretically, or practically, could they say, okay, I'm going to go 1 mile or I'm going to go 10 miles and see how much my voltage drops when I first get it. Then I go 10 miles or whatever, and I see how much my voltage drops over that same 10 miles after X amount of time. Is that kind of like related to what you're talking about in terms of, is that a way to measure, I guess?
Yeah, that would be a good way to measure the capacity of your battery. If you're kind of keeping track of those metrics, and then your viewers, they could see for themselves as they start to degrade the battery. They can measure, okay, maybe it's going faster than I wanted. Maybe I should be a little bit more careful about storing it in a cool condition and not charging it up as high as 100%. Maybe just keep it in that 20 to 80%.
Got it. Okay, so that's a way for them to know if they're doing a good job or if their battery is degrading faster. So if you start at 47.4 volts and you go 10 miles and you end up at 37.4, like when you first get it, but then after 6 months, after 10 miles, you're getting, geez, I used the wrong numbers because I can't even remember what I just said. 25 volts at the end of 10 miles in the future, that you've degraded your battery, right? That's basic. So this is okay.
That's exactly right.
This is very cool. This is very interesting. Well, we've covered the first question, but I bet we've covered many other questions. So real quick, how many cycles does a good name brand battery last with, and I guess I need to say this now, with consistent battery maintenance that you've said, not leaving it over 80%, keeping it between 50 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit, right? How many cycles under those, if you did perfect battery maintenance, how many cycles would you expect the battery to last? And I guess when we're saying last, we're saying last to 65, 70% of your original capacity. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Okay.
So that's a great question. I would expect it to last 800 to 1,000 cycles. That's generally like a good hallmark. A brand name battery should last 800 to 1,000 cycles. Again, with the caveat, depending on the chemistry, depending on which type of battery you get within the LG Chem family or the Samsung family. So 800 to 1,000 cycles means that you've charged and discharged it 800 to 1,000 times. So if you're doing that on a daily basis, say you're charging or you're riding your scooter every day, that should last you 3 or 4 years. Or if you're doing every other day, that could last you even longer. But if you don't take care of it, then that's really when the life of the battery starts to decrease.
And so this is 800, 1,000, and this would be LG and Samsung. What about the more generic brands, the Sync Power brands, or other Chinese generic brands?
Yeah, I would say that there, pardon the pun, your mileage will vary. So that I think the biggest difference that we've seen in respect to some of the generic brands versus the top end brands is that the quality control is a lot less, right? So there's a wider range of good versus bad batteries, and some of the bad batteries you get a lot more lemons out of there. The second part is that it probably won't have that 800 to 1,000 maximum capacity either. Maybe you could expect it to do like a 500 to 600 if you're treating it well.
Got it. Okay, 500 to 600 for the more generic ones.
That's just kind of an estimation, and again, that really kind of depends on battery manufacturers, as I mentioned, are now starting to diversify quite a bit.
Awesome, got it. We already talked about max and min charge level to conserve battery. I think you said up to 80% while storing, right? But you can go to 100 right before you ride, and then the min was 30. I think 30%.
20 to 30%. You can go there. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend. The other thing is I wouldn't recommend it just leaving it on 0% for very long either. So that's the other side.
Yes. So keeping it 20 to 30 as a minimum when storing. And you said 50 is actually the best.
Yeah, if you're going to be storing it long term, just leave it at about 50%, and that's probably the condition that the battery is going to be the most comfortable sitting at for a very long time.
Got it. Great. You covered almost all of the first few questions, so this is great. Actually, a lot of people were asking about plugging in the the scooter. So they're saying, should we plug the charger first to the outlet or to the scooter first and then the outlet? I don't know if you have expertise in chargers, I guess.
Yeah, I think that might be a little bit out of my realm of expertise. I'm not exactly sure. I would just say follow the charger recommendation. What I will say is that hopefully you guys are using the charger that comes with the scooter. So one thing that does happen is that lower quality chargers will actually damage your battery faster because they don't regulate the amount of I guess the charge that's going into your battery. So they could be charging it maybe too fast, or they could be providing too much power into the charging.
Okay.
That can actually lower the health of your battery. So use the charger that comes with the scooter that's been rated and designed for that battery that you have in there.
Now some scooters, or like as an add-on, they'll for $100 or whatever, you'll get a fast charger. 4 amps versus 2 amp, for instance. Is that going to lower is that going to degrade your battery faster by doubling the amps that are going into it, or is it,
It will actually lower the life of your battery. So the trade-off there is that you'll be able to charge your battery quicker, but the downside is that you will lower your battery lifetime. So I wouldn't use that unless you need it, right? So I wouldn't use your fast charger, for example, if you have a long period of time that you're charging it for. Batteries actually like to be charged slower.
What is slow? What is slow? Is there a certain amount of draw amps? I don't.
It really depends on the size of the battery, right? So I would say that depending on the size of your battery. So I can't really give you the exact amp hours for that, or the exact amps. Sorry, not exact amp hours, but the exact amps for the charger based off of the size of the battery that's in there.
If I told you the size of the batteries, would you know? If I told you how many watt hours, or is it a different measurement that you would need?
I would probably have to do some fast math. So maybe
Okay,
the best thing is that
we'll get you on for the next time. We get you
for
on.
the
We'll
next
ask
time,
you that
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Okay,
I haven't done quick math in a while. So.
this is great. I hope you're okay to keep going because, like, actually, I didn't realize, but the questions from the audience are building up really quick right now. Are you good for another few minutes to stay on?
Yeah, I have another about 10 minutes that I could stay on here and answer.
Okay. Let me get the best ones then. Someone's asking, why do none of the scooters out there have fans to cool the batteries? Even the $6,000 DT, I'm assuming Dualtron, has no cooling available. Even if, yeah. Do you have any ideas on this?
So I can only guess, right? Because I don't come from the scooter world. I come from the battery world. My guess would be that there's probably just not enough space or weight concern to be able to put on the cooler. What I will say is that that would enhance the performance of your battery. And when you go into the larger batteries of electric vehicles, all of them have cooling, right? So all of those guys have cooling. For the electric scooter, they may consider the cooling to come from just riding it around, so the air comes in and it cools itself. Or they may just feel like, given the kind of the spatial and the weight concerns of the scooter, there's just not enough there to be able to put on a cooler.
Got it. Next question. This is, so I know you're not a scooter expert. I guess this person's asking, why do no scooters on the market have a battery management system that allows 80 to 90% charge versus having to buy a third-party charger to do it, since this has been in electric vehicles since 2013?
Yeah, so I guess they're asking about kind of the quality of the battery management system. This goes back to kind of like my original statement, which is that electric vehicle manufacturers, they have a lot more money to spend on kind of the top tier battery management systems, the top tier batteries. They're throwing a lot more in there. They have advanced, machine learning algorithms that kind of test out battery management systems. The electric scooter industry, unfortunately, has not had really the resources and that kind of upper end technology development to be able to introduce those really advanced battery management systems. But hopefully, as the audience grows, that can be something that will be elevated in newer designs.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Next question. Why buy max range scooters if we should charge to 80%? I need that extra 20%. I am guessing no one is babysitting their batteries. People buy scooters to ride them. Not sure what the question is on this one.
So why get the long range scooters? Well, so for all batteries, obviously, if you got it, a short range scooter, 80% of a short range scooter is still much less than 80% of a long range scooter. If you need that 20%, use the 20%. I'm not advocating that you guys just leave it at 80%. I'm only talking about, health management over a very long period of time. Absolutely, if you need that range, use the full range of your scooter. Just be cautious that if you are leaving it at that really high range for a very long time, for example, if you're not going to use your scooter for a few days, I wouldn't recommend just leaving it charging for a few days and not use it. When you're using it, absolutely get as much as you want out of it, and just know that is, minutely kind of decreasing the life of your battery over time. But that's probably a good trade-off in your case. It sounds like your user is using that capacity, so that's fine. I would never advocate you don't use it.
Yeah, and you were saying if you did charge to 100% overnight and you did that for a year, I mean, you did it 300 times on a good battery, you might not really even see that much difference. Is that somewhat accurate?
Yeah, if you did it for a year, you'd probably start to notice.
You would start to notice.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that's, again, if you have to do that, right? Like you have to wake up in the morning and you have to have it full charge and you have to use that full range, then that just has to be in the use of your scooter, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, I like to charge it to full power because then I get the most power when I ride, and I always want to feel the most powerful ride that I can, I think.
Yeah.
And so I charge mine to 100%. But now we know if you're going to charge 100%, try to do it, right before you ride if possible. And if not, it's still going to last you. It's just, it's going to be a little bit quicker, right? You're going to get 300 instead of 800 to 1,000. Or
yeah,
I think
maybe not that much, right? So maybe it would be, instead of it lasting 3 years, it might last 2.5 years, or might last 2 years, or something like that. So just be wary that at the back end you're going to start to have lower performance than when you first got the scooter, if you're doing that where you're just leaving it at full charge all the time.
Awesome. Last random like that, we got a fun thing for you before you go. If you were to play Kiss, Marry, Kill with batteries, what battery would you choose?
That's I don't know if I've ever thought about that. Kiss, Marry, Kill. Actually, with the battery manufacturers, I can't actually answer that because some of them are going to be my potential customers.
Oops.
So I'll kind of refrain from that. So let's just say I want to marry all of them, and they all seem great.
Okay, awesome. Okay, very diplomatic answer.
Yeah, sorry.
No.
Better kiss, marry, kill next time if I come back.
No, it's fine. Jonathan, it's been awesome. This is like, you're the most knowledgeable person that I've seen these debates go on over and over and over, and so it's nice to get some good answers. I think you're quickly becoming my battery hero. And I really appreciate that you came on tonight, and I'm sure we'll talk again really soon, but I know you got to go, and we got to wrap up the show soon, and we still got a few more things to talk about. So I'm gonna let you go, but yeah, thank you so much, and all of our viewers appreciate you coming on here.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on the show. And again, these are just kind of general guidances. Hopefully you guys enjoy the scooters the way that you guys want to enjoy the scooters, and hopefully we'll have more battery technology like ours come into the market that will provide solutions for longer range and safer batteries and longer lasting without having to sacrifice some of these things.
I hope so. All right, Jonathan, have a good night. Thank you again.
You too. See ya.
Bye-bye. Okay. Man, that's like the most informative battery, deal. I hope this was interesting for you guys. If it is, let us know, and then we can generate more questions too. A lot of our I may not have gotten to 100% of the questions, but I got to as many as I could because I know the show's kind of running long. Let's get to the next thing, and remember, we still have the premiere coming up at right after the show's over. But I think we're about ready for news, so let's hit it. Sorry, I muted it. My bad.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to get us on the right mode. Yeah, cool. I think we're good.
Hey,
I hope
everybody.
everybody can hear us okay. Yes.
They can hear us. They
Awesome.
can hear us. Nordium, Carter, what's up? Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Ray Mir. I'm back. I'm just here to sit next to Chuck while he goes over the news. S to S.
We got some news to share, and it's good to have you on the show as always, Ray Mir.
Yeah.
Cool. And then we will do a Q&A section. You can queue up your questions for the GT or whatever. Richie's gonna be mad copying and pasting while we're doing this, so that we can get all your questions. Maybe just put them right at the top of the list now, Richie, so I don't see the old questions, or you could delete the old questions. All right. So anyway, I've had a pretty good week in electric scooters. We got more and more over here.
Yeah.
In order to make this live show, we actually got to take scooters out the door at this point.
Yeah.
So
We'll get a bigger spot eventually.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a bigger spot. All right. So first item in the news is from City Lab, and this is they're talking about how when cities are planning, doing all of this pedestrian friendly, new bike lanes and all that kind of stuff, that they're not always taking into account every input from every single type of community out there. So it's like, who are the community planners? And I think what they're trying to say is like, they're not always interacting with the Latino community, the Black community, the LGBTQ community, trans community, things like that. And that is something that is going to be brought to the forefront, especially now with what's going on, but also because it's just like, this is a new. I mean, this is the first time cities have done this kind of thing. So I think it's something good for city planners to remember, is to get input, not just think about what you read in the textbooks, but to actually talk to the people that are going to use these parts of the cities, right? So, okay.
I think everybody will warm up to it. Scooters and micromobility is a new industry, and then once different areas start to hear about it and really ride it, like I think a lot of people are getting turned on to scooters in general, because just with COVID and just getting around that way. Like I have a few family members since I've been working here. They have scooters, like they're interested in scooters, buying scooters, riding scooters. And I had a family member call me a couple of days ago, like, hey man, I just went down the street and it was so simple. It was way faster than driving my car. I'm like, yeah, that's what scooters are for. So once you get into different areas and scooters, they're getting to the forefront now. So I think you'll see it more and more in more of these communities. Well, they all know what's up.
Yeah, I think it just takes time, right? And next up in the news, we're gonna get through these quick, because I don't want to keep you guys on here forever. So another question is, or not question, right? But in Cycling Weekly, they're talking about, basically the main thing is that these micromobility devices or bikes or scooters have been used as weapons in the recent, news. And so Fuji is saying they're going to stop selling bikes to police because the police are using them in a way that they don't agree with. So that's interesting. But also I've seen reports of electric scooters being used in a not a good way by people that are rioting right now too. So, that is happening, right? That is happening. All right. Wired. We have another article from Wired, and now this one is about how during the curfew that a lot of cities are on. I know Berkeley, we were on curfew, and I think they just lifted it a few days ago. So now pickleball goes late into the night, which is great. What about you? Do you guys have
no
still on?
In Castro Valley, we're pretty good. I think they canceled it a couple of days ago.
Okay.
All of Alameda County, no curfew no more.
That's good.
So
we're
back outside.
Late nights. So what happened was during this, and I think some places are still under curfew, was that the shared scooters and even subway systems and like that, which were already limited, were getting shut down. And then you had essential workers that either couldn't get home, or some of them were getting arrested for being out, past the curfew. It's like, come on.
Yeah, I'm glad it's lifted, because that's a catch-22. Like you want to obey the laws, but you also have to go to work. And I feel even with Corona, just everything's going on. Like people want to get around, and it's been rough for them the last couple months. It's been pretty rough.
Luckily, 30 of them got electric scooters from the from the essential scooters, the giveaway. But that's 30 out of how many essential workers are there? I mean,
millions.
Yeah. So we got to get everybody.
Shout out to those 30 though.
Yeah. Shout out to the 30. Next up, this is an article from Sifted in EU, just basically saying that as things are going back to normal, they're seeing scooter trips really increase 20 to 25% longer. And they're really illustrating the need for these scooters. And what's also really nice is that in Paris, they're seeing that people are putting back shared scooters at a much higher rate than before, which is, right now, before that was like the you know, one of the main concerns was people leaving the scooters on the sidewalk, which we all don't want to do, of course, but they're seeing people being more responsible.
Times are changing when it comes to scooters and shared scooters as well. People are respecting it. People understand that they need to ride it, get around, and that is great. And that'll probably lead to them buying their own scooter. But, you know, we're growing. Everybody, we're growing. Yeah. And it's all because of you guys and gals out there.
That's right. That's right. And then let's see, real quick, e-bikes sales are, I mean, we just got reports, and we get these reports for e-bikes, right? But, you know, there's no reporting agency for electric scooters. So when they say e-bikes sales are increasing rapidly, they're saying e-bikes are the new toilet paper. Let me just tell you, look around and see how many people are riding scooters versus 6 months ago or a year ago. Yeah. You'll see the same thing happening with the scooter market. There's just nobody to report on it.
Yeah.
So that's something. Okay. Let's see. Finally, last piece of news, and we got a couple quick videos for you guys. New York Times is saying that, let's see here, that, same thing, e-bike sales are increasing, but what they're saying as far as the downsides in this New York Times article, shout out to Mickey for reading through this article in depth, because I don't read every single one in depth. But what they're saying is that the downsides of e-bikes are the fact that they're heavy and there's a possibility of theft.
Yeah.
And so, you know, while everybody is getting on this e-bike kick, right? Of course, scooters are getting on a big kick right now too. But the big main drawbacks of e-bikes are the heaviness and the theft possibility. Whereas with a lot of electric scooters, that's not the possibility, because, you know, scooters, you can get them, geez, this one right here, 28.7 pounds. And there's ones lighter than this, right? And you can obviously take this in with you when you go to the store or whatever. I mean, obviously, you got some, you know, big boy scooters as well that maybe you do need to keep outside.
I don't know. I normally just take them in the store with me.
Do you?
I just push them around the store.
Just push them around?
Yeah.
Does anybody hassle you?
Nope.
Good.
Unless they like the scooter, like, hey, what is that?
Yeah.
But
the only kind of hassle I ever get is like, what is that? What kind of scooter did you get?
So,
you know what else? You know what else is fun? I do is like when I'm rolling around or I'm sitting at pickleball waiting for my next game. Mm-hmm. If somebody rides by with a scooter, I yell the name of the scooter. You know, like with cars when you're
like
on the freeway.
Xiaomi.
Yeah, I'll be like, Go Tracks, Xiaomi Modified, or a lot of 9-bot Maxes.
Yeah,
you know,
9-bot Maxes and Xiaomi.
Yeah, a lot.
Or not the Xiaomi, but Xiaomi clones.
Yeah, I mean, what do you see the most out there? Do you say?
I say Go. For some reason, the last couple of months, I've been seeing a lot of Go Tracks.
A lot of Go Tracks.
I think Go Tracks right now, Go Tracks, and maybe 9-bot, but Go Tracks in the last 2 months. I've been seeing more and more, because it's just, you know, people are getting turned onto scooters. It's cheap. You know, PEVs are cheap anyway, but scooters are cheap.
Yeah.
It's light. You can get around with it. And people are like, all right, I want to buy one, but let me test out one to where I couldn't feel like I wouldn't burn my money if I didn't like it. And
Go Tracks.
Go Tracks.
$250 minus our coupon code of whatever, 5% or I don't know what it is. It's like $238, including tax or something. Like, it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. To
get your feet wet and still go 15 miles an hour. So they say, although it's really like 13.8, as you know. But still, that's still pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah, for a newbie. That's for a newbie. You know, there's a lot of newbies out there.
You know what's funny? Everybody says they're going to go, 15's fine for me. You know, and then they take it longer and longer, and then all of a sudden they're like, no, 20, you know. And then I remember when I was a kid, I told my mom, if I can get a Nintendo, that'll be the last thing I'll ever need. And then, of course, you get the Nintendo, and then it's like, well, then obviously you need more games and, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
and I think the same thing happens with electric scooter speeds. It's like, you know, it's like my fiance, she was riding the Xiaomi Pro, and she was fine with it. She was like, no, 15 is good. But then after a month of riding at 15, she rode the Inokim Lite. And she's like, well, I kind of like this 21 miles an hour thing, and now she's ready to go faster. And I see that over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's how it is. Progression of scooter riders, just like me.
I think you did the same thing.
The 9-bot Max I was riding for a while, 17. I think it's 17 it goes.
Yeah,
it's 17.
Yeah,
so 17, I was going 17, getting used to the scooter, and then once I got comfortable with riding scooters, dual motor or no scooter for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, dual motor's the way to go, especially for me being my weight and whatnot.
Yeah.
These slow scooters on the cut. Okay, sorry guys, we're gonna.
Oh, we need to change the battery out. Well, audio's still going, right?
Yeah, adios.
All right, we're gonna change the battery out. But why don't we go ahead and get to the community content while we're changing out the battery. Obviously, we need a new camera. So this is right. They put this video on Facebook, and I was like, this is hilarious. So I figured we show this while Ramir's changing out the battery real quick on the camera. But this is part of their package, I think, where they're trying to sell the scooters. I mean, look at this drop test. Now that is a drop test. I don't think we're gonna be able to do that with the ESG drop test, but like that's kind of I mean, look at this guy. I mean, if you want to sell your scooters or get, you know, distributors for your scooter, I would be
Trying to scoot over to your left side.
yeah. I mean, what is he doing here? Is he trying to twist the neck off the scooter? I mean, I think what he should do is he should put it up in the air and then just... It almost looks like it's in fast forward. Okay. Looks like I'm back on the screen. So, there you go. There you go. He's doing the power dance right there on it. What do you think about this guy right here?
This guy is pretty pretty intense. It's like he got somebody assaulted it.
Well, he is assaulting it in all the ways that scooters typically break.
Yeah. Pretty much beating it to a pulp and trying to make sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think we're back on full screen again.
Yeah, this guy.
Okay.
Look at him, just kicking away.
Yeah.
Slamming it on this one. Oh, man.
If you want to, I don't know if everybody can see it because it's so small, but okay, he finally broke the, there you go. He finally broke the fender. Oh, and now he's trying to, now he's tap dancing. Oh my gosh, he brought out, I haven't actually watched the whole thing. I just thought it was hilarious. He's straight up taking a, is that a rubber mallet or a sledgehammer? I think this man shouldn't be selling scooters. It looks like he hates scooters.
Oh, it still works. It still works. It still works.
Uh-oh, now he's about to go down the stairs. This must be like photoshopped or CGI. Oh, no. He's just throwing it down the stairs. Okay, I thought he was going to go. All right. Anyway.
Yeah, what scooter is that?
Shout out to that guy. Yeah. Can we... you know what? I have it in my... I saved it in my Facebook. I think it's on loop now. Okay, no, we're back on.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go quickly find that while we load up the next video. It's in my saved... Hold on.
Loop one. The Facebook, I mean...
So that is the quick wheel, you guys. It's the quick wheel. I'm gonna actually paste this in the live stream so you guys can see that. Yeah, blowtorch. I just pasted that for you guys in there. Like, what is this? Okay. And then the final thing we want to just industry news real quick. That's fine. You can just. Do we have a video of this? I'll just start talking about it. But basically, a lot of the scooters out there, and we talk about this when we talk about the safety of electric scooters, is that like you got to have a horn or a bell or some way of like notifying people. And if your scooter doesn't come with one, of course you can buy one. It's just, for scooters to be a complete package, I personally think that they need a horn or a bell. So what's really nice here, and we're showing the video right now, is that this is a video from Apollo. They just actually are now, I believe, selling all their scooters with a horn or a bell. They just posted this on their Facebook. Hope it's okay to share. But basically, they're adding just a mechanical bell, which is
I think it's
fine.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think that's one of our safety, one of our safety checklists. If it's a bell or horn, and now all Apollos, at least they passed that
and
one.
prior to that, all the Apollo branded scooters did not have it. And so, the Apollo Light, City, Explore, right? Explore we did, and then they have the Pro. None of them came with any kind of horn or bell. So it's cool that, they're putting it on there. And they have the mechanical one. So it's like, I don't know that a car is going to hear you with that, but it's nice for a pedestrian or another person that's in the bike lane.
Yeah. And it's always accessories you can buy. Link below.
Yeah. You can check out our Amazon store if you need one, because we have ones, obviously that have different, volumes and they have like 5 different sounds if you want to mimic something.
But a bell, for the most part, if you're a city rider and you're not really in like a loud area, a bell is just fine. Nothing too crazy. It's something somebody can, you can warn somebody with. So that's a nice gesture on Apollo.
Yeah. Good job, Apollo. Okay. Let's get to the, I don't think we have time for, do we have any pressing Q&As? I think we're gonna have to skip it and get them on the next show.
Get a few. I have to get the thing ready.
Okay. All right. We'll get a couple while we load up the Facebook giveaway then. Are there any, I know there was a ton of questions before that. I'm sorry guys, we couldn't get to all of them. This has been it's been a great show. But I will, but let me talk first about the Facebook giveaway. The link is actually below to the actual product set that Shred Lights is doing. So shout out to Shred Lights. The link is below if you want to purchase this. They're giving out the helmet starter pack. So while the
for heavier guys. Dang it, I just got
what's that?
Somebody has this question. What's the best scooter for heavier guys?
Oh, well, that's a Ramir question.
Look at our reviews.
Yeah, look at. Anyway, I'll just show some of the stuff that that comes with Shred Lights. So basically, it's the whole helmet mounting, system, and they've got different lights that you can attach different ways, and they've got I'll show you. They're real small, but they're rechargeable. So here they are. They're also working on some specific electric scooter lights that are going to be 1,000 lumens, maybe more. These ones are 200 lumens. So, if you put a couple of them together, you'll get some visibility, but I would say it's more for cars to see you. So I'd really recommend using this as a rear light, like on your helmet, and you can just actually attach their little adapters and whatnot to your helmet, and that's what the package is for. How we doing, Ramir?
I have it in a generator. I'm just trying to get my mic.
Okay.
My camera set up.
Oh, okay, no worries. Sealbird has a question. Can you buy a horn from a different scooter and put it on yours? So it depends on what kind, right? And so if the horn is built in, so like the Uscooters or the E-2W series of scooters, that's actually built in. So you can't obviously do that because it's like built into the display unit. But then there's other kinds of horns. I'm just like looking down the line, right? So if there's like a bell style, right? If a lot of them, you can actually untwist that. And as long as your handlebar, circumference, right? Or I think it's diameter, right? Is the same, you can put it on there. Obviously you can like add some tape or whatnot if it's a little bit too big, and you can put on a smaller one. So that is possible. But actually aftermarket horns and bells are actually really cheap. I think the one that we use, that we list on Amazon, on our Amazon store, it's like $15. So and now you can like actually get stuff with with Amazon. You don't have to wait 2 months for it, which is really nice. All right, I think we're ready to roll.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna get out the dice.
Yeah, just get out the dice.
You need a mic?
The camera's not working, so I'll just reach it and
No worries. Okay, so we're gonna roll the dice, and then Ramir's gonna hit randomize that many times, and then we're gonna find the winner. By the way, to enter this contest, all you gotta do is be a member of the Facebook group. You just click like when David Voss posts the post. I think this time we had 250 names or something crazy like that liked this post. This is nuts. So anyway, that's all you got to do. Here we go. 5. It's a 5.
Okay.
All right, so Ramir's taking the mic.
This
I can
is the
point the
prize.
camera on you.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Okay.
I don't need the camera. Okay, everybody. And this is the prize, right? The shred lights.
Yep, that's a prize.
Okay. Hey, everybody. This is the prize, the shred lights. And here goes the randomizer. So you guys know how it goes. Chuck he rolled a 5, so I'm going to hit randomize 5 times. And whoever name is at the top is the winner. Okay, here we go. 1, 2. Dang, 2, 5 people. 3, 4. Okay, here we go. Drum roll.
Who's the winner?
Ronald Limbo.
What?
Ronald.
Ronald Limbo. Come on down. All right, Ronald Limbo. Man, say that 3 times fast. Congratulations to Ronald Limbo. You've won yourself a bunch of awesome lights from Shred Lights. Thank you to Shred Lights for making this possible. And all right, so I think, do we have the link ready for the premiere? Is it in? Can we paste it into the live show, or is it in the video description? I'm gonna get the link for the premiere for you guys right now.
I'm back.
And Ramir's back.
Here goes the light.
Yeah, play with some of those lights, and then I'm gonna.
Congratulations, Ronald. You won. These prizes are getting better and better, man.
They are.
Shout out to David.
Oh yeah, shout out to David Voss. He actually came up with the whole idea himself. It wasn't us.
It's a way to give back to the community because you guys been great on the Facebook.
By the way, we must have just hit 13,000 subscribers like during the show.
Woo woo.
So anyway, thank you guys if you're a subscriber for that. Also, if you're in the thing right now, let's see if we can get some likes going. We got 40, but like if you're watching, please hit the like button right now. I want to see these likes go up. Let's try to get to 100 likes before, an hour after the show. Richie's getting the link going, I think, right now. And we can just hit premiere anytime because it takes 2 minutes.
I already did that.
You hit the premiere. Okay, great. Just refresh.
Yeah, shout out everybody. Brandon, Mercedes, Nordium,
Yeah.
David. Who else is in there?
Oh my gosh. Who else is in there? I mean, I saw Robert. Robert's always here.
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man's always here. Mercedes, I know, is always
Oh,
here.
you said Robert already.
Did you say it? God is my judge is always here.
Yep. He brought the questions today.
He did. He had a lot of them. Sorry I didn't get to all your questions, but Brandon Smith is always in here. Shout out to you, Sealber.
Yep.
And Sealber always has great questions as well, which is nice. Did we get the okay, we got the GT review coming. So here's the deal. If you guys got that link, I just want to test that link. Make sure it's all good before we end the whole thing. Choop, 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 choop. Let me just... Whoops, that didn't do it.
Good show. Learned a lot about batteries today.
Yeah, how did you like... I mean, that was the most informative battery kind of thing I ever encountered. I mean, that was nuts.
He had a whole bunch of questions, so maybe we bring him back again. Maybe.
Yeah, do you guys want to see the battery guy back?
back?
Let me know. We're 10 seconds delayed, but let me know if you guys want the battery guy to come back, because we'll bring him back. We'll bring him back. That's no problem. We'll get him on. I think he'll come on again. Okay, cool. You got a minute left. All right, we're gonna flip over to the live show. Flippity floppity flip.
Catch you on the flippity flip.
Yeah,
Michael
thank you.
Scott?
We'll see you guys next week for the flippity. Oh, is that Michael Scott?
Yeah, catch you on the flippity.
Yeah. Get into the live show ASAP as possible. Another Michael Scott. Never mind. And next week, stay tuned. We're gonna have the Enokim Light 2 reviewed. That'll be pretty interesting one. And so, okay. Until then, ride safe. Don't forget to wear your helmet and make sure you wash those hands. Goodbye, everybody.